Alright guys, this is attempt number 453 to make the shop update video. So, as y'all know, I haven't made a video since last week. I don't even remember the last day I made the video. I think I was already on the road trip. So, road trip went well. Drove down to Corpus Christi, got caught in some tornadoes. That was interesting. Excuse me, burping. I just had Mexican food. Stayed the night in Jasper, Texas, where all the tornadoes were, which was a bad decision. Drove down to Corpus Christi, dropped off the bike, burned up to frickin' Louisiana, through Baton Rouge, stopped in Mississippi at Ron's house. Thank you, Ron, for letting me stay. It was great. It was much better than sleeping in the truck. Good food. Good day. Got seafood, burned all the way back up through frickin' the entire length of Mississippi to the shop here. I changed 2 radiators. We made it to the track. Drove all the way to Brainerd. We went for the SDBA season opener. Day 1 went fairly good with some testing. Kevin Jones had a death wobble that was sketchy. He got through that. He did amazing this weekend, rocking out with number 1 qualifier in 6.0. Congratulations on that. Brian Dale's bike, his slick was shot. So he made it through qualifying, got into eliminations, and we switched up completely. We changed gear ratios. We changed to a radial. Put a tune-up in the bike that should work, and it worked. It did good. But he wound up spinning in the next round, so it was game on from there for everyone else. We got to figure out why that bike's spinning. I don't know if it's clutch setup or what. Something is not right. That sucker is spinning, and it should not be spinning. We were 129 60 foot, slower than we were last year, and still spinning, and I'm not a fan of that. So I'm not entirely sure what's wrong there. We're going to put a brand new flat slick on it and see what it does. Hopefully that solves our... Don't know where I left off. But hopefully, a new flat slick solves the problem. My phone decides to shut off after 2 minutes for some reason. Still have yet to figure that glitch out. Anyway, shop update. The ZX14, I started cleaning up the cases, started cleaning up the crank. Got to get bearings ordered for that because I have the wrong bearings now. Brett Jones' bike. I believe it's Brett Jones. Don't fucking quote me that I screwed up his name. I know it's Brett. Anyway. Motor's out. Scotty has started teardown on that motor. We got the head off in the bin. Got to clean the head up, verify the valve springs, and then the head should be fine to go right back on. Shouldn't need anything changed there. We did find a timing chain guide. Hold on just a sec. One broken timing chain guide, so I'm going to suggest you change out that guide. And then... we found the fun part. Now I'll run you over here to find that. Because I set it out because it's going on the wall of shame. Wall of fame, wall of shame. It's the wall of fucked up parts. This is 3 pieces. Okay, you have the, I call it the top hat or pusher, the mid shaft push rod, and the clutch push rod. They have friction welded. Whoever put this clutch in the last time, there's a rollerized bearing and a hardened washer that go on this side. They were on this side. Which meant that the pressure plate, which is also galled, now that there's the rollerized bearing, which is galled something terrible. When this would push the clutch, got stuck, started spinning the hat, spinning the rod, spinning the push rod, and they welded. Now that they are welded, I went and checked. The slave is also cooked, so this bike is going to need a slave cylinder, these 2 push rods, the top hat, and the pressure plate. So that's what I've got so far. Please don't break. I want to keep you in one piece. That's what I got so far on that. We'll know more as we go down. So far, looks like the build was what he's supposed to have. He appears to have valve springs in it. I think they're APE. He has 9-to-1 pistons in it. They appear to be in reasonably good shape. No detonation, no burning. There's some oil on top of them, which is concerning. There should not be oil on top of them, just so you know. So I'm going to check that out. We might have to do valve seals in that head, but those are only like $40. But we'll know more as we go through. I'm going to check his valve springs as well, make sure they're what they're supposed to be. Let's jump over here. Keyless's bike, Selfish. Right now the clutch is chilling overnight, pulled in, but the clutch is freaking firm again. I went ahead, rebuilt the slave, rebuilt the master, and replaced the factory line with a Galfer braided line, as you can see. So that should be good to go as is. The air shifter's not hooked up or anything. We're still debating what we're going to do there. Marcus Ham's bike, the Highlighter bike, is running. Oh, key doesn't do anything. I'm going to heat cycle that after I get done with this video because Scotty forgot to heat cycle it. Chris Charles is coming at the end of this week to get his, so in 2 days he'll be here for that. The big tire bike, I don't think any of y'all ever saw this. It came in as a no running, no start. He had a blown fuel pressure regulator O-ring, so he got a new fuel pump housing because I don't just sell that O-ring. And the O-ring from Suzuki costs more than that housing, so he just got a housing. Boss man, as always, is ready to go. And Tyree Nixon, Toady Rose brother, dropped off this bike he bought from an auction. If you can't tell, there's something a little wrong here. He was not aware of what was wrong here. I could have spotted it a mile away if he'd asked. This bike is tacoed. It is totaled. So, he has access to a frame and front end. I'm going to see if it'll start when he brings me a key. I'm going to put a battery in it. See if it'll fire. If it'll fire, idle, and rev, we're in business. If it won't, we're not. And we'll reframe that. Warren's is good to go. ZX14 is good to go. This bike, I'm still waiting on a feed line check valve, and then I'm going to redo the entire oiling system for the turbo. And at that point, if it doesn't solve the issue, I'm done. I will tune it out, and I'm done. Jimmy's bike is one of the next on the lift. It is out. I've already started plotting things and laying out how I'm going to wire it. There's a lot of planning that goes ahead of wiring something at that level. His nitrous bike I kind of flew through, hence why it's not as neat as I normally do, doing the planning side of that. Cams are degreed in on Colt's motor. Valves are set. We just got to throw the valve cover on, oil pan on, stuff it in, and then I will be taking this bike in its entirety back out to the basement so Dennis can work his magic on nitpicking and finding where everything needs to be mounted and finished. This is entirely on Dennis at this point. Once we get back to a riding bike, I will go to the dyno with it and do my magic. I think that's all we got in here. You got to hear a messenger ding. Anyway, I got a few bikes in storage. None of them really needing anything other than that 14 that I'm building. Totaro's will be back. So Totoro, he poked a hole in his radiator. We changed the radiator. It started puking out the radiator cap. Changed the radiator cap. Started puking out the overflow bottle. Changed the radiator out because he wanted to change the radiator out, but I had my nerves already on edge. Did not solve the problem. I knew it wasn't going to solve the problem. I should have known it was going to solve the problem, but I freaking let my freaking instincts to the side and did what we were talking about, and it has a head gasket out. So I have a head gasket and brand new head bolts on the way. It was a brand new motor, but I reused the head bolts. I am willing to bet I will find a yielded head bolt or two in that motor, because if I remember right, they didn't feel quite right going to torque to yield. They are torque to yield bolts. I should have replaced them. That is an error on my fault. Okay, so it is warranty work. He will pay nothing. I will get it knocked out ASAP. That will probably be one day of close the door, no one comes in, and I knock it the hell out. Because I'm going to literally drop the motor, rip the head off, check the deck surfaces, put a new head gasket in it, put all new head bolts in it, put it back together, and verify. Always verify. I'll probably ride it 50 miles in town just putzing around to make sure it doesn't puke. Probably take me all damn day to do that at 30 mile an hour. Anyway, so we got done. That's where we're at. You now have a shop update. The truck lost its rear brakes on the road trip, so I went ahead and put new pads and one new caliper on it and new rotors, and now the other caliper's sticking, so I'm going to have to go get a freaking caliper for the other side. That's another $98 I really didn't have. But I want to thank everyone I met at the track. Thank you guys. You guys were awesome. Thanks for the opportunity to tune on your bikes. I tuned on 16 total different bikes, changing configurations, max settings, fuel tech settings, etc. All sorts of different shit at SDBA, and I want to thank every one of you guys for the opportunity. I want to thank Dustin Lee for the references, and everyone else who reached out to me for all the support and what I'm doing. It makes me realize that I'm actually doing well in this community. Something you're going to find about shop owners and shit like this is I'm always nervous that I'm not doing right, that I'm not quite right. I mean, I'm not perfect. I'll never be perfect. I know that. Anyone who is at the track knows what happens when I get overloaded and think I'm not perfect. I may have had a slight cardiovascular failure and my blood pressure shot through the fucking roof and I about had a stroke. Literally went to the ER for 3 days. So, if you stuck around long enough, you gotta learn a little information about me. I have stage 2 hypertension now. So, anyway, I'm off for the night. Y'all have a beautiful day.